Hey everybody, Jennifer Louden, jenniferlouden.com. I want to talk about creative brain and business brain. How do we balance the two? How do you make time for your creativity for projects that may not feel real, or you're not even sure they're ever going to make you money, while your business or your day job or the organization you work in is like full of deadlines and checking things off your to-do list, impacting people and bringing home a paycheck? I totally relate. Sometimes I feel like my business is a little bit of an addiction. Like, I love to make these blog posts every week, right? I get to be creative, I get to help, I get to like put things out. Wow, great. I love to go to my to-do list when my writing time is done in the morning and start checking things off and working with my team on Basecamp. I used to feel bad about that. Like I wasn't really a writer because I didn't want to spend all day, writing. And you know what? No. You're a business person and a creative person. You're a lot of different roles, and learning to transition between the two, honoring them and being realistic about them is really liberating and helpful. So let's talk about some ways you can do that. But the first one is, as usual, like let yourself off the hook. Have a lot of self-compassion. Plus, the world gives you a lot of pats on the heart and the paycheck and the bank balance and all those things for being a doer. And then that part of you gets really conditioned and developed. So sometimes it takes some time to develop the dreamer and the creative and develop those same habits of mind. So that may be where you're at. You might have gotten a little rusty or hadn't learned it yet. Cool, now's the time to learn. Right, the first thing that I like to do is create a transition for myself into creative time. And I learned this from a meditation teacher who taught me to sit on the meditation cushion and immediately say to myself, basically, why am I meditating? Why am I here? It didn't have to be a big deal. It was only a few seconds, but it was touching into that feeling. And that can be a really useful transition into your own creative writing, creative time period. You don't have to have a ceremony or light a candle or anything, although you can if you want, but just to say, maybe put a hand on the heart and say, wow, what's that feeling that brought me here? What's that urge? And take a few breaths to connect to it. Very simple, very effective to create that transition. It's also incredibly important, and I'm always going on about this, to know how you work, know what your commitments are in the world, and adjust your deadlines and expectations accordingly. I'm a slow as molasses writer. I have to have time off on the weekends to play and to read and to nap and to run. I also need time when I'm really drafting new material to kind of putter and come down from my office. How do you work best? And are you trying to force yourself to work faster or differently? I'm not saying be a total I have to lay around and I can only write 3 words a week. You got to be realistic about that too. But also, if we try to force ourselves too fast or work in a way that's completely not realistic, we can shut our creativity down and really go to that business brain. I also like to use my business as a reward. Okay, great, I did it. I stayed with the dream. I stayed with the writing for whatever amount of time it was this morning, and now getting things done is my reward. It's kind of a nice way to frame it. It's so important to have doable, clear promises to yourself every day. What can you really do? Adjust it for what your other appointments or commitments are. Not for the week or the month making a schedule, unless you have a really regular life, which some people do. Yay, I don't. So what I have to do is say every night, when will I write tomorrow? For how long? And then I like to give myself what I call an island and a ferry to get to it. The ferry for me is a latte, and the island is freedom, which is internet blocking software, and it's already going on my computer when I get there. And I know how long I'm gonna work for or how much work I'm gonna do, pages or words. Either one will work for me at different times in my project. And most of all, it's realistic and already adjusted for the day I'm actually gonna have, not the day I wish I was gonna have. So I get a sense of being thoughtful, taking care of my business, but also taking care of my creativity. And again, I adjust day by day. But then that island is already there, so I can just get right there. I've got my coffee, I go right upstairs, and there's no internet to distract me. And that's really important, which is the habit chain. I just kind of gave you my habit chain, which is I get up in the morning, I do the bathroom stuff, and then I go right to the meditation stretching room and do the stretching and the meditation. Changes again depending on how much time I have or what my spiritual needs, what my body needs are, right? And then I get my coffee made and I go right upstairs. I do have a laptop that I keep down in my kitchen, so I make sure I've put that away the night before, so it's just not right there for me to go in and do email. So know your habit chain and begin to tweak it and create a little ferry and a little island. And if it's 5 or 10 minutes for the creative work in the beginning, do not minimize that. You have to start slow. It's the only way it works. Big plans and high expectations and big changes to your habit chain will fail and you'll feel like crap. You need to track progress, probably visually, on your creative stuff. Because again, it doesn't feel as real. And you may take 5 steps forward and then 10 steps back, right, on your writing. To throw a bunch out. You get a special planner with stickers and put a sticker for every day that you write, or pennies that you put into a jar, or marbles. Don't tie it to outcome. Tie it to keeping your promises to yourself. Oh yeah, I showed up for my 15 minutes. I showed up for my 2 hours. I went right from meditation or getting the kids to school right into my creative time. Yay, I did it 3 times this week and I can see that I made visual progress. Tweak accordingly. Don't make it complicated. Then you'll spend all your time tracking your progress, not actually making progress. Consider if you're being realistic about your business or career goals and your creative goals. Are you wanting it all to happen at the same time? And is that shutting you down? Is there something you're willing to give up or slow down on? Are you constantly feeling like a failure who's not getting anything done because you want to make $1 million this year in your business, or get the promotion, and you want to write your novel, and you want to homeschool your kids, and you want to take care of your elderly mother-in-law, and you want to run a marathon all in the next 6 months? Ha ha. I've heard stories like that. Seriously, what needs to slow down, give up, or sequence differently so you can start to see the progress you're making and make real progress on your creative projects as well as your business projects? And everything's not being smushed or sacrificed or the business wins out, because the creativity is so much more ephemeral. You can't be doing the creative work for the outcome alone. Sure, you may want the publishing deal or the accolades or whatever your outcome fantasies might be, mine or both, but you need to, and I've learned this so much the hard way, you need to keep bringing your attention back to what is it like to have this experience as a creative, to grow as a writer, to stretch. You have to notice and experience it. It's sometimes harsh and frustrating, but it has a deep sort of exhilaration of struggling to learn and do the work. You have to let that be the reward. You have to let that change and grow you. While at the same time, maybe you're out for a walk or doing a run, or a little bit of fantasy about what the outcome's going to be. Great, normal, human. But if you focus on that too much and not on the experience of learning and creating, it's really hard to stay in that creative brain and stay motivated over the long haul. And it's taken me years to learn that, so be gentle with yourself if that sounds impossible. It is possible. And right along with that is learn to acknowledge and choose yourself. Instead of needing someone else to say, I see you doing the work, I see that you're good at this, I want you to learn, to practice, putting your hand on your own heart and saying, I see you doing the work. I see that it matters to you. Be the witness of your own creative struggle and your own creative brain, and acknowledge it to yourself. It can sound a little weird, but we're living in a society and we grow up in education systems that teach us to go, hey, did you get the Benny? Did you get the prize? Did you get the thing? And we can lose our ability to acknowledge ourselves, which can really become hard to stay in the creative brain then. In the end, I think it's really a combination of deciding that this is your life, this is your story, this is your voice to own and sculpt the way that you like, the way that you want. And yes, smart habits and a good environment and support, super important. But there's a willfulness to it, a willful choice of saying, I choose this creative work. I choose to set aside this hour or this Saturday or whatever it looks like in your life right now, because it matters to me. And I think if there's one thing that has made the most difference to me in my own creative life over time, it's that willfulness. It's saying, I see me, I choose me, I'm working on it. And paradoxically, it makes it easier to overcome the inevitable bumps and disappointments when you do release the work in the world. I hope those ideas help you honor creative brain, honor and make time for that process and dig in and enjoy it so it becomes, if maybe not as real feeling as the business world, as precious and beautiful and worth fighting for. Thanks for listening.